Welcome, everyone. Hi. Welcome to the International Black Summit Interview Podcast. For those of you who are not familiar with the International Black Summit, we're an organization that was created in 1991, and our purpose is to provide an opportunity for our participants to bring into being their vision for the Black community and the world. In these podcast interviews, we interview people who are current or past facilitators of the International Black Summit or participants in the International Black Summit to find out how they have used the International Black Summit experience, the summit tools and distinctions in their lives, in their families, in their communities, and in creating what they want in their lives. So tonight we are interviewing Bonita Grant, and I'm just going to read a brief bio about Bonita. So let me just read that, and then she'll join us. So Bonita Grant is the founder and owner of Cure My Credit. She is steering financial literacy initiatives throughout her community and nationally. As a former public school teacher and nonprofit development professional, she brings an integrated approach to her work, which changes clients' lives through credit counseling. Some results of her work include renters becoming homeowners, and small business proprietors growing their financial capital. She achieves this by implementing a personalized plan for each client with the goal of transforming high-risk borrowers to low-risk borrowers by raising their credit score to a 700 score or more. Now, during her teens and 20s, Bonita was also one of the original Youth Summit facilitators of the International Black Youth Summit. So welcome, Bonita. Let's see if you can join us here in the Zoom virtual studio. So I see you coming on screen there. Here you are. Hey, Bonita, how are you?
Amazing. Life is great.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So good to
It's
see you.
amazing to have you with us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's
Great to
very
see you.
excited. Very excited.
Life is good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you for being here and creating the time. Appreciate it.
yes, thank you. Yes, I have three beautiful, precious, spoiled boys. Um, and
How old are they?
so the twins are 9 now, and the baby is 5. He's my baby. I know
Wow.
5 is not a baby, but yes, he's my
Wow, I'm
last child,
sure.
so he's my baby.
They'll will always be your babies, okay?
Yes,
Let's
they will
come to
always be
terms
my
on it.
babies.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we usually start the conversation with what was your first introduction or how did you find out about the summit? How did you get involved?
Yes, my mom did the form when I was, I think, 9 years old. And then after she did the form, she found out about the summit. And then it was like, I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks after she did the form, we went to New York. The summit was in New York. And that's where I fell in love with the International Black Summit.
So the
And
forum being the landmark forum, right?
yeah, she did the landmark form.
Hmm.
Um, and in the beginning, that was the prerequisite
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
yes.
For the
So
international.
That New York summit, what year was that? Do you guys remember?
1995.
95.
1995.
Okay. So that was before my time.
1995. Yes. It was awesome. It was um a room full of well, I was 9 or 10. So I think they started it at 8 years old. I think you could do the summit when you were 8.
Yeah, the youth
Um,
summit started at 8 years old. Yes.
yes, 8. So I was one of the young people in there, but there were so many different people from all over the world, all over the country. I don't know if we had gotten all over the world by then, but um, and we were just talking about real stuff and emotional, um, intimate, loving, healing stuff. And I was hooked. I was like, this is how this is how I want to communicate. This is the types of conversations that I want to have with the people in my life, at home, in my family, with my friend circle. And I got addicted, and I realized I didn't even do the form until, I don't know, maybe like 4 years later or so. Um, but I realized that the way to create those types of conversations, like in my life with my family and friends, is to have my family and friends do the International Black Summit. So I became a master enroller at
Oh.
9 years old. I made sure every single person in my life, my aunts, my uncles, my friends, were at the summit every year, at the at the prerequisites, at the summit. Like, I knew that that was the way that I could have the same vernacular, the way that I could have uh this type of energy in my life, not even like I don't have to wait into the
And
event once a year. I can literally have this all the
and did
time.
that show up for you? Like after you had family members participate and begin to access like the summit distinctions and all of that kind of stuff, did that show up in your regular life?
It still shows up. Like, it shows up in yes, it almost every single friend of mine that I'm still friends with. And I still have a lot of friends from when I was that age because we went deep early. So we it just got it became the intimacy in the relationships that I was building in those formative years in my life were powerful, and it wasn't BS. It wasn't about the clothes. It was about, like, how are we going to change this world? How are we going to, work on our confidence? How are we going to, move past peer pressure? Like, how are we going to heal from the stuff that happened to us when we were younger? How are we going to heal our parents? How are we going to heal? You know what I mean? Those are the types of conversations we were having. And yes, a lot of those people that came to the summit with me when I was a kid are still my friends.
Oh,
One
that's
just left
wonderful.
a few minutes ago. I told her I was going to do this. Her name is Nakiba. She went to, I think, 4 summits. Um, so yeah, a lot of yeah, it's that's why, it's just important when you find your your family, or when you find work, um, like the International Black Summit, when you find this type of energy, that you bring the people you love to it. um, because then it just keeps going. It doesn't stop.
So Benita, say a little bit about the formulation of those things. I mean, because in the youth summit we talk about what it is to be black. We discover all the different nuances about being black and about myself identifying to my blackness. How important was that to you at that point in time in your life?
Um, well, I grew up in Boston, and people always like, there's black people in Boston. Yeah, there's me and my family, and then my friends. Yeah. Um, but so Boston is one of the most racist places I've ever been. Didn't know that until I left Boston, and I was like, wait, the whole world isn't like this. Um, so going to a place where, it was celebrated, being black was celebrated, and not only celebrated, but was it wasn't like fight to, but it was more like, yeah, like a celebration. It was like, like, let's talk about how beautiful being black is, as opposed to where I grew up, where you just had to defend yourself. Like, I'm still a person, like, I'm still a good person, you know, even though I'm black, right? So having that experience was very important. And that's why I brought a lot of my friends from Boston to it, so that we can look at it in a different way. I uh the summit helped me focus in a different way, focus on beauty, and on creation, like creating things as opposed to reacting, understanding that we are creators, and we choose our lives and we're co-creators with God. Like that was everything for me. And it still is. I teach my kids this now. I'm like, that didn't like why did you create that? Like why did you create that experience? You look really hurt by that experience. What were you trying to get from creating that, you know? So yes, I hope I answered the question.
You did, and what I want to underline is the accountability and the responsibility in your speaking.
Yes, being responsible. That
Yeah.
was one of the huge things for me because the way I grew up, meaning the people who were my influences, responsibility wasn't really looked at like a good thing, right? It was more like I have to, right? As opposed to I get to. And then understanding, and the summit taught me like understanding that responsibility and power are connected, right? And when you're responsible for your life, like that's where you get your power, right? As opposed to things happening to you, you're creating them and you can hold the responsibility. Um, Learning that at a young age was it was like gold. Like it changes the way you or it changed the way I um viewed the experiences in my life. Like, what am I creating? What am I trying to learn from this? What am I resisting? Where's the reflection here? Like, why am I triggered? What is this about me that makes me triggered because of something that I perceive you're doing to me, right? So just even that trigger was huge for me. Like reflection was huge for me. Um, because I got early that the only person in this world that I can change is myself, right? Trying to change other people or trying to make other people do things is funny. It's it's like it's not possible. You know what I mean? Um, and understanding. Oh, another huge thing was being versus doing. Um, Being versus doing is well just there's nothing to do except be. That is a lesson that I'm learning over and over and over again. And every time I learn it, Bonita, you knew this. Right? There was nothing to do. You knew this. You knew this. You know,
You know,
huh? What'd you
I was
say?
just no complete, and then I'll ask you a
Yes,
question.
it's really, you know, transformation. Even the word transformation and how things don't have to take, you know, the moon aligning in it in a 7 day and then, you know, taking a week vacation before I can create the change I want in my life. Transformation is a thought and it happens like this as soon as you get responsibility and you get choice and you get those things, it lines up and everything shifts. It's a
You know,
lesson I
that's
keep
so great. I
learning over.
just I hear you. I hear you. Um, you know, I certainly keep learning lessons too. That's for sure. That's for sure. And one of the things that you mentioned was the being versus doing, which and there's nothing to do it except be, which makes me think of the International Black Summit Declaration. So I was thinking this might be a good opportunity to actually share the International Black Summit Declaration.
I used to know this
Um,
by heart.
and,
Let me see
and
if I still do it. I used to, I was ready.
do you want it? I mean, usually Glenn brings it up on screen, but we don't need to do
Let's
that
do
if
it.
you think
No,
you
no,
can
no,
do
no,
it
no. Let's
by
do
heart.
it.
Is that big enough?
Yes.
You gonna read it
Okay,
for us?
Bonita.
Come on.
No, I don't want to read it.
You don't.
But I would read it along.
Okay. The Declaration of the International Black Summit. We declare ourselves, our community, and all communities whole and complete. There is nothing to do except be. We assert that we are responsible for generating community as possibility and distinction. We listen for and grant being to the possibility and creation of unpredictable results. Our conversation of, about, and for those of African descent is one of power, self-generation, abundance, responsibility, unity, and integrity with the possibility of being. We stand for the expression of our spirituality, ending the murders of our men, women, and children, building economies responsible for funding our community, maintaining wellness of being in our bodies, providing human services, establishing nurturing relationships, altering the conversation of who we are in the media, empowering our youth. We declare that our community manifests itself in the world as a contribution in the transformation of the universe. Atlanta, Georgia, October 7th, 1991.
Thank you, Glenn.
That was amazing. Like,
What part of the declaration typically calls to you, Bonita? Like, what part of the declaration is the part that you tend to go back to?
honestly, the whole declaration is, I mean, every time I read it and listen to it, it is inspiring, and I'm so grateful that I just look at my kids who are 9, and I'm like, my kids they are not thinking about this, right? Um, oh, they're like, it's just so, I feel so blessed and so grateful to all the angels and all my ancestors and on everybody on earth and in heaven that made it possible for me to live in that world at such a young age, and how much it has influenced my life. Like, I'm listening to the declaration and I'm like, this is what my life has been since I first read it. And I just feel so, I just feel so honored
Can you
I
give
love
us
it all.
can you give us well, you know what? Yeah, can you give us an example of that when you say this is what my life has been? Can you give us an example or two?
Yes, I was just talking to my friend Nikki about it was after the summit. I um created my own purpose, right? What my purpose is. And my purpose is at 9 years old, what I said my purpose is to help people achieve their highest possibility in life.
Mm.
And there's been so many worlds or so many places in my life since 9. I'm 40 now, that I've been able to, in my being, um, been able to inspire and activate people to go after their highest possibility. And right now, the way I'm doing it is through credit repair. As you see, it's my background. Like, and it's real for me. Like, I see people and they come to me and they come to my company and they have been told no. They've been told that they can't get a slice of the pie, right? And we talk about, financial, building abundance, in the Black community. Uh, I would say 99% of my clients are in the Black community. Um, and it just to see people be able to buy their houses. And now I'm working with business owners and helping them buy multiple houses and create multiple streams of income. It's like, thank you. Like, I just feel like I say I have angels on earth and angels in heaven that are conspiring to use me. Um, and I feel like it's happening, and it's happening in different ways. When I was a teacher and I was working with the middle school kids and the high school kids, and at some point I was working as a teacher in the jails, and in those moments I was like, okay, use me. I don't know what I'm doing, but use me. And it just there's a it's when I just listened to you read it, it just brought me back to how like having that as a foundation has created a very uh, my life. I feel like my life is of service to my community, and it makes me feel very I feel like I'm going to heaven. That's all I got.
You
Well,
know,
well,
That's
well,
good.
girl, I was going to ask you. So you mentioned trigger. That's one of our distinctions inside of the summit, and we use these distinctions as tools. What would you say were some of the other distinctions that you use? And for those of you who haven't participated, we use these tools to basically keep us on track with our commitment. Sometimes life gets in the way, and we get a bump in the road, and the tools called distinctions. And these are words, but we have a particular context around how we use them and how we work with them, such that they leave us empowered to continue to pursue our commitments when we get stopped by different things. So what were some of the most powerful distinctions that you probably are still using today?
Yeah, trigger was huge. Reflection is really big. Seeing like, well, that goes with trigger. It's like when something or somebody activates you and you get angry or you get in your feelings about something, there's usually some sort of reflection that you see that you may not want to deal with in yourself. Like it's easier to try to fix somebody else than to like go within. And so that one is really huge. The being one, the no out there, like that also goes back to reflection. Like we it's for me, how that shows up in my life is around being responsible and being a creator. Like I feel like I'm a co-creator with God, and there really is no out there. Everyone is literally they have no choice but to play into the stories that I created already. Like before we even met, like if I'm still living in this story that people are only here to use me, I can start a brand new relationship with you and it could go really well, but by the end of the story, you're gonna use me. Because that is a story that I created, and you have to play into that story because I gotta be right. I gotta be right, right? So and just that one is huge because like I say, we learn, well, at least I learn some of the same lessons over and over again. I'm getting better at it. Every year I'm getting better at, oh, I'm doing that thing again. I'm doing that thing. I'm making you show up this way to me. So I'm gonna stop. So, but it is, I think, I mean, one of the hugest things, like I said, is responsibility and understanding that we're all creators um, in our life, in our experiences. And I feel like, I feel like uh, the way we tell our stories and responsibility, I feel like I got that work in the summit. Is that, I don't know what that distinction would be called, but um, which is understanding how to tell our stories responsibly. Yes.
good.
Yeah, there's a level of, well, I hear a level of noticing. That's the reflection that you're pointing to. No out there,
Yes.
certainly being responsible for yourself and your actions and the consequences associated with those actions. Trigger, is it's not the person over there, because when I point my finger in that direction, I got three pointing back at myself. So it's like, what am I, how am I contributing to this conversation? What is my part of this creation as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ownership, ownership.
Ownership. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
it's real. There's so many goodies. I mean, if we just broke down the declaration over and over again for days, I mean, there's so many goodies in it. you know, leaving people touched, moved, and inspired, like just taking care of your community and the universe. Like it's
One of the things,
being in service.
you were so young when you first came to the International Black Summit, and then you chose to become a facilitator, youth facilitator in the International Black Youth Summit. Why did you choose to do that? Like, what had you decide, you know what, I'm going to be up at the front facilitating this conversation?
Because I found my tribe. I found my tribe, and once a year wasn't enough for me. I needed I needed more. And I remember, I started doing fundraisers. I was always doing some sort of fundraisers to get my friends or anybody who wanted to come to the summit. I remember taking like, I don't know, like 15 to 17 people to Jamaica for the summit. And I remember we would walk around the neighborhood, knocking on doors, with our cans, asking people for money so that we could go, because none of us had money. But that wasn't stopping any of us, or it wasn't stopping me. I was like, everyone I know gets to go, so let's figure out how to go. Um, I remember Atlanta, and taking a huge group to Atlanta and to Philly. But yeah, no, for me, I am, what I've noticed in my life is I'm a promoter. When I find something good and I find something that changes people's lives and something that um is is an agent of change, then I want everyone to be a part of it. Um so yeah, so and being a facilitator just allowed me to be in the room longer or more.
Well, one of the things that I must point to, actually two things, and that fundraising, because that's what I remember. One of the most profound things about you was that you were selling cupcakes and cake, cookies, and all of that to fund yourself to come to the planning body meetings that we were had all over the nation, different places, and that because your mother had been with us, trusted us enough to take care of you,
I know.
you know, so that we kind of shepherd you in and were able to participate pretty much on your own at times.
I was like 11, 12, taking flights by myself, going all types of places. And the support in the summit, to make sure that I was safe, because I mean, so much can happen. Like I look back, like how my mom was so would never. My 9-year-olds can't even like walk down the street by themselves. I was just like, where are you going? Let's hold hands. So just like I said, angels on earth and angels in heaven. Like there were so many amazing, helpful. I remember David Pay. Um he drove me and my brothers from Boston to, I think, Philly for a summit weekend. Like literally just drove us, and we didn't know him, he didn't know us, but he let us get in his car and drove us, and we became friends after that. It was just, there was so much like, come on, come here, we'll take care of you. Um my grandma, like, she was, because I had to buy plane tickets, and at that time you needed a credit card, and I was like 11, 12. I didn't have a credit card. And so my grandma taught me about credit through the traveling with the summit. But she helped me buy my tickets and helped me get tickets for my friends and even other summit youth summit facilitators. Like, just like, it was literally a lot of amazing support. And it made me feel at that time in my life where you're going through preteens becoming a teenager, it's just like a crazy time. I used to be a teacher, so like looking at it, and because you're in your own body, right? And so you're just doing, you just think, whatever, but looking at it, being able to be taken care of in that time in my life, the way I was taken care of made me like there was no way I could deny my light, my brilliance, my shine, my there was too many people that were behind me and pushing me forward. Um, it was yeah, that I mean,
So,
it's a
so,
good
the,
life.
so the second thing I want to acknowledge you for, and most people don't know that or realize it, but you were the kind of like the organizer around having the youth have their own prerequisite.
Mhm.
And we as the
I went
adults,
to the floor.
yeah, we're adults. Well, what do you mean you want your own prerequisite? Oh, what does that look like? Got all nervous and stuff. But the thing that was like, okay, you can do that if you can self-fund. So it had to pay for itself. And you all did it. You put it together. You made sure that there wasn't costing the summit anything. There was going to be a profit. And you created the first prerequisite that was within the summit body, and created the standard for the adults to follow and create their own prerequisite internally, even though there was a little stuff, a little egos about that. But it was out of the youth summit saying we shall have our own, and not necessarily have landmark as being the predecessor or the prerequisite to this body of work. So I just want to make sure that
Yes,
the folks out there know about it. So what was that experience like as a
that
leader?
was that experience changed my life because I was there in the room when we literally created the curriculum for the prerequisite, which a lot of time the prerequisite just led into the actual form. It just creating that and seeing it live and seeing it live and seeing it literally change people's lives and allow people to heal from things that they didn't necessarily think that was possible to heal from. Um, it like I said, it changed my life. It made me feel like I could create things. I could create experiences um, that empowered people to take on their lives. And honestly, just like healing. Once you heal from shit, especially stuff that you think you can't heal from without somebody doing something better, or without someone apologizing, or without, and I mean, this was like people were healing from stuff that literally would take people out, you know, and these were 8-year-olds, like these were, 17-year-olds healing from stuff that like would take people out, and it just inspired you to like release and let go. Like it inspired you to like to shift as soon as possible, to just how much pain, how much like we could literally see people lose weight in front of us. Like we could see people dead, and like people would look lighter and healthier afterwards. Like they would be skipping out of the room when they came in, like, what are we doing? What is this? And when you change, when I change, everyone around me, because it's our being, not our doing, everyone around us changes. And so I really got to see, like, we really got to see that it was like one person at a time, one family at a time, one community at a time, but it started with one person, you know. and how it just vibrated out. Um, it's amazing seeing what people are doing that were, you know, a part of this, um, that are a part of this work, like what they're doing in their communities, in their lives. And, you know, once you're healed, or once you have healing and you have a choice, once you get choice, um, like there's so many doors that are open. Once you get responsibility, as opposed to people are doing things to me, then I'm creating. Like it's like so many doors open.
You know, I want to say this for the folks that are listening. And so the healing that Benita's talking about, um, I just got present to it in the works. Trauma. It's the trauma that we've carried in our lives. Trauma from a bad experience with a teacher, maybe an experience in the playground, maybe something with your family members. Whatever that is, we carry it with us. And so the space of the International Black Summit, the youth, the adult, and the young adult space,
Mhm.
we allow that healing to take place so that you can move on, so that you, and I love what you said, Benita, creating choice. When we begin to realize that we're not victims, that we actually have choice in the matter. And the situation that we're in right now,
Yes.
I
Hmm.
caused it. So what did I do
Yes.
to undo it or to move it to another direction? And
Well,
what,
why am I causing it? What am I trying to
exactly.
get? What am I trying to be right about? Why am I causing it? What am I trying to
Mm.
resist? Where's the change? Where's the resistance and the change that God has for me? I
Yeah.
was just talking to my brother about this today. You know, he was telling me a story and it was so irresponsible. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like it was all about, you know, somebody doing something to him and he had to do. I was like, Brian, you know, we've been doing this work for years. You already know that that's not even gonna fly with me. Like, why? Why? You know, there's a piece, and we talked about it, we got to it, and he was like, you're right, you're right. Let me change my conversation. But there was a piece that I get and that we both get, and that, you know, once we get this, it's like resistance to change. You know, change is the only constant, right? And you know, God has a plan for us, right? And it does require changes in relationships, changes in our bodies, changes in just changes. And a lot of times we're so resistant to the change that we create drama. We create a lot of drama. And then we're like, you made me change. You made me change. We create a lot of drama because we don't want to change. And once we get to the change, we're like, I'm so glad that happened. Because if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have did this. I wouldn't have created that. And, you know, it's true, but it's just like how resistant we are to change or God's purpose or our next steps is what causes the most pain for us, like the most
Mhm.
pain. Um, and it shows up over and over again. So, you know, okay, you wanted me to do that. And I wanted to go left because I liked left. Left was great. I felt really good with left. Now you want me to go right. Yeah.
So, which was your favorite annual summit event? You know, we have these courses, the International Black Summit. It started with just the annual event in August every year. Then there was the creation of the prerequisite that you in the and others in the Youth Summit spawned. And now we have the community and regional events team and other things as well. But what was your favorite annual summit event that you attended? Do you remember?
Um, I don't know if like I have like a favorite. I feel like there was amazing moments in every event. Like I mean, it's for me, relationships are everything and people. Um, the energy that's created when like-minded people come together and work on creating a beautiful world is always going to be an amazing event. So there wasn't like one that I was like, that was it. I just want to keep recreating that. It was like every time we decided every time we came together with that purpose in mind, when you start off the day with the declaration, what are you going to create? You know what I'm saying? Like you got to create
Mhm.
some magic. So yeah, no, I think I don't know. I just think that the people the people that I've met, the intimacy and loving, beautiful relationships that are developed in this space, it's gold. It's pretty awesome.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
say this. I remember my first summit was in 1999 in Jamaica.
In
So that
Jamaica,
Jamaica
oh
summit, yeah. So that
yes,
Jamaica summit where you brought the whatever, the teams of people. I
yes.
remember that. And I remember being in the adult summit and looking around at the youth and being like, I just want to leave these adults and join the youth. You guys look like you were having you guys look like you were having so much fun. And I was still youngish at the time. So a lot of the adult room was older than me. And I was like, oh, I need to go join those youth over there. Whatever you were doing, it was really creating like a wonderful energy that I
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of, whatever you guys were doing over in that space.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I think that I don't know, Glenn brought it up earlier. It's like as I don't know, when I was younger, it was just a lot more like shifting and changing was super it because that's how life is when you're that age. Like everything is changing. Your body's changing every second, like everything is changing. Um and the older I get, the more I realize that my ego and my resistance to change causes so much freaking pain. You know, like it does. And so when I and having fun was super important at a young age, right? So yes, you would see a lot of fun, It's super important at our age.
Yeah,
Like
at
it's
every
super
age. Yeah,
important.
for sure.
But
Yeah.
sometimes we're just like we're always like I've done so much to get to where I'm at right now. I need to just stay right here. Um and our egos will have us thinking that's real, you know. But
Mhm.
like at the end of the day, like that energy, and that's why I love my kids, and that's why I love kids, right? Is because they remind you that like it's supposed to be fun. Like life is a
Yeah.
gift and it's short and it's very long at the same time. So like and it's short. So like what are you doing to create? What am I doing to create joy in the moment? What am I doing to give back? What am I doing to create change? How am I feeding my spirituality? How am I feeding my body? How am I feeding my soul? Like those are the things that our kids show us. It's important. And so yes, I can see why,
Yeah,
looking
why I
at
want
the
to.
young people is inspiring because it is.
It was fun. I have a conversation about adulthood being something to look forward to. Like there's been, or at least when I was growing up, there was this whole conversation around adulthood being something to dread. Like, oh, like dread adulthood just looked so awful. We had this movie called Children of the Corn, where after a certain age, you remember Children of the Corn, Glenn? After a certain age, like you just didn't want to be like, I think it was older than 25 or something.
Yeah.
Older than 25, you just like forget it. That was it. You just agreed to, move on. Because
Yeah.
life was essentially over, like this whole
Yeah.
conversation. And I just for me, one of the things I'm standing for is that adulthood being something that is actually worth looking forward to, like that it actually creates, and what joy looks like and what fun looks like is different at the age of 10 versus the age of 30 or 40 or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I really think that the way that we have created adulthood as a society doesn't make it very appealing, and it doesn't have to be that way because we are the ones creating it. So we
exactly.
can create it whichever way we like.
I totally agree. I love being an adult. I wouldn't change it for
Me
anything.
too.
It was
Me
fun being a
too.
kid. Every year was fun, but every year I'm like, ooh, I was a hot mess back then. Like last year, like 6 months ago, right? Like I feel like every year I get a little bit more wiser and smarter and like I like my I like my freedom um as an adult. I love how I can choose what I do every day. Like I literally choose what I do every day. Um I love being a parent. I love looking at my kids and creating experiences with them and for them. Um, yeah, I love like and again, I get it's a choice because I could literally choose to be irritated by shit. But honestly, I love like some of the stuff that adults like the adulting. Like my brother, I was talking to my brother, like I actually love paying bills. Like I love paying bills. And I love paying people. Like I have employees. I have like over 20 employees. It gets, like I was telling one of my employees, like one of my favorite days of the week is payroll. I love paying people. And the more I get to pay people, the better I feel. Like it makes me feel like I am contributing to communities and families and all that stuff. But like I remember I had a boss, his worst day of the week was payroll. And he would literally get crabby. He'd be like, and I said, why is this your worst day? He's like, because my bank account gets smaller when I pay people. And I was like, and it literally, it would bring him down. He knew that Thursdays were going to be the worst day of the week for him. And he made payroll every 2 weeks because he knew that Thursdays would always piss him off and da 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 da. And I was like, yo, when I become a boss, when I become an owner, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to literally change that conversation and enjoy
Mhm.
payroll because that looks like that's not fun. And so I know things are conversations, and I know that you got to fake it until you make it. But for me, it really is true. Like payroll is a fun day for me. I love it. I love paying people. I want to pay people more. I want more employees. I can pay more people. I want more clients. I can help more people. Like that's yes. I love. I love
I get it.
that.
I get it. And for me, what I'm really hearing and what you're saying is what you shared earlier about the responsibility and the shift in the context from I have to do this to I get to do this. And so much of what has been around me is responsibility as I have to, as burden, as not choice, as being something that's imposed on me, as opposed to the freedom of choice that I'm choosing this. This is a responsibility that I get to take on out inside of my vision. And it's fulfilling something that I am committed to and I'm contributing to. And so
Yeah,
it's a whole
because you
different come
chose
from.
this. Grace, you chose this. At some point, you chose this. At some point, you were
Yeah,
like, this
absolutely.
is what I want. And now you're getting it. And it's like, how are you going to experience it? Like we choose
Yeah.
everything. We
Yeah.
literally made contracts before we came here to Earth. We chose it all. We chose our parents. We chose it. And it's like the sooner we choose our choices, uh, the less pain we experience, the less um the more joy we get to experience when we remember to choose our choices. And just because we know um that we're co-creators with God, we know that we're creating this experience called your life, our life, um and we're the ones telling the story, we're creating it through our stories. It's like You know, people call me and they're always like, "How are you doing, Bonita?" And I'm like, "Amazing. This is awesome. Life is good." And they're like, "Bonita, life is always good for you." I'm like, "It sure is. Like, what's next?" Or it could be horrible. I could answer the phone differently. I could be like, what do you need? I'm busy. I'm tired. Like I have 3 kids. One doesn't sleep, so I haven't slept in 9 years. What's next? And I could experience that, and I could give you that experience, and that could be my real experience. Um, through how I talk and through how I show up and through how I'm being. Now sometimes I do feel tired, like I do feel tired, but I also know that it's a feeling, it's a moment, and it's again what I asked for. I prayed for my kids. Not like me and my wife weren't supposed to have kids. Like I literally physically was not, the doctor said you weren't going to have a child. You can't have a child, you know? And I said, no, this is what I want. I want a baby. I want a baby out of my body. And I lost 50 pounds when I was pregnant. I was sick. I was sick. I thought I was losing my baby for the first 4 months of my pregnancy. I bled like I had a period every single day. Every single day. I went to the emergency room so many times they just knew my name. I did not think that baby, every time they would do the ultrasound, Davis, my baby, would be in there dancing, like, I'm right here. And you know what happened? Because we talk about conversation, we talk about manifestation, we talk about being co-creators with God. The day that I remember I went to my natural doctor and I just was like, I don't know, like, I don't think I'm going to keep this baby. I'm not. And my wife, she is my partner in this. So she talks like she's like, Bonita, you got this. That baby is fine. Don't worry about it. You want me to take you to the hospital again? Why? We already know that baby is fine. Da, da, da. She After I had the baby, she was like, Bonita, I was scared out of my mind. I was scared every single day, Bonita, but I was never gonna tell you that. I knew it. But the day my natural doctor, he said, you need to claim this baby. You need to stop saying this baby's not happening. You need to claim this
Mm.
baby. That day I named my child. Like I gave him a name, and I named him after, mind you, the other crazy thing is while I was pregnant I lost 9 people. 9 people died.
Wow.
I'm talking about 9 of my people, like my mentors, my friends, my grandma. Like 9 of my people died while I was pregnant and dealing with, I was in pain the whole pregnancy. Like it wasn't just like, I was in pain. Um, when I named my child, 2 days later, I stopped bleeding.
Mm.
As
Mm.
soon as I named my child and I claimed
Mm.
my child.
Mhm.
So we know that we have so many instances of this throughout our lives when we get on board to God's plan, when we realize that we're co-creators and all that good stuff, like that we show, like we experience what we ask for when we claim it, when so it's just about changing the conversation. You can experience adulthood as struggle, as hard, as something that I have to do, or like this is some awesome stuff. I made it. I'm here. Yes, my knees hurt. And I got knees. You know what I'm saying? Like I can still walk, like it's all about conversation. It's all about how we choose to
Well,
Yeah,
tell our
choose our
story.
choices. I love it. And I
Mhm.
love it. I love the way you say choose our choices.
Yeah.
Choose our choices for sure.
so what is that what you would say? What would you say to someone who is looking uh, at the International Black Summit as something that they want in their lives? What would you say to them?
I would say jump, go, run. Like it's a great community that, I mean, we just saw the declaration. Any community that has that as their foundation is doing good things. Like yeah, I I am a yes. Yes. I love you guys. See you in the chat. Hey, Shakesha. Hey, Petal.
Do,
Love you
do you want
Okay.
guys.
to ask your three questions,
Yeah,
Grace?
the final question.
Yeah.
So the final question, Bonita, is there anything that you wanted to say before we ask the final question?
No, I love you guys.
Tell
I'm
us a
very
little
thankful.
bit, tell us a little bit more about curemycredit.com, and then we'll go to the final
Yeah.
question.
Good. Good.
Okay, yes. Oh yeah, Shakesha just asked, what is that number behind you? That's just so I own a business called Cure My Credit Scores, and we help people achieve their highest possibility of getting a house. And so we mainly work like 99% of our clients are trying to buy a house and their scores are too low to do that. So we help them get their credit scores up. We actually guarantee that we can get them to a 700 or greater in a short amount of time, as long as they do their part, which is no new negative items while they're in the program, and they have to keep their credit cards between 1% and 10%. My company is real big on education. Like I said, I used to be a teacher, so we're really big on educating people on how your credit works and how you can get your scores even higher. Also, help small businesses build their business credit, which is my jam. Um, so I am a serial entrepreneur. I flip houses, I do Airbnbs, I I'm a landlord. We do Bitcoin fund machines, I don't know, some other stuff we do. But uh my like I really, really love real estate. And I feel like I want to help people buy their first house, buy multiple houses, and create multiple streams of income. Um, because abundance is real for me, and we're worth it. We're worth it. We get to experience all the beauties of life. And we get to use credit. Like especially as Americans, a lot of us don't get it because we've just been Americans for for the whole time. But Americans and credit, it's a gift. Not Grace, like not all countries have a credit system like we do, where you can actually be given the money to buy a house or buy a car without having it. A lot of places in the world, if you want to buy a house, you need all the money to buy a house, or you need at least half of the money to buy a house, or you need all the money to buy a car, or at least half of the money to buy a car. Here, you can buy multiple houses using your credit profile and maybe a little bit like 5% or 10% of the value in cash. That is one of the reasons why, we have the American dream because of credit. We can build a business on credit. In a lot of places in the world, you have to have all the money to build the business or start the business. And that's why in so many places in the world, rich people stay rich, poor people stay poor, you know, um, because there's no way to get to that next level. And we have that still here. And I don't know how long that's gonna last, but things are changing. But so yeah, so I'm really adamant about helping people fix their credit, not having it be something that stops them forever or stops them from, moving to the next level with their generational wealth and abundance.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Bonita. So then let's go to the final question. Oh, um, okay. I'm just going to say, Lupe, if you have a question, you can type it in the chat. So here we go.
Yes, Petal said there's nothing to do except be. That is, again, that is another lesson that I'm learning over and over. I be trying to do things all the time. Be like, yeah, I just gotta do. And as soon as I shift to the being, it gets done. It gets done. As soon as I shift to the
Mm.
being, and I realize also I have plenty of angels on earth and angels in heaven. I don't have to do it all. I don't have to do it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take
Yes,
take take advantage of the partnerships that you have.
exactly. Exactly. The relationships. Yes.
Okay, so here's the question. What are 3 wishes that you have for the world right now? 3 wishes that you have for the world right now.
The world. Choice. I really get, like if people got choice, you know, it, it would really help people enjoy life more. Um, and so that is important. The world is hard because there's so many parts of the world and different stuff going on in different places. Um, freedom. Freedom is important. Freedom, like to be able to create the life that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, freedom is important. And I think another wish I would have for people to experience is healing through forgiveness. Is
Mm, nice.
yes, like without anything else, but just forgiveness. Like without I don't need like a whole world behind it. Just like being able to just forgive and release and then get back to beautiful self.
Yeah,
Mm, nice.
that's so perfect. Benita, I just want to acknowledge who you've become, for me, who you've always been,
I love you, Glenn.
which is a leader, which is someone innovative, out there, bubbly and effervescent. Even as a little kid, that's how you were. Okay? So it's like nothing has changed. And
Thank you.
and here this vibrant woman in front of me that's got 3 kids and
Yeah,
all that, and
Mm,
a business and doing all these great things out in the world.
thank
So
you.
um, thank you for taking on this work and really having your life be reflective of the work that you've chosen. And thank you for the prerequisite that you helped to conceive and to because we still use parts of that, by the way.
Yeah, it's some
In
good
the youth
stuff.
summit. Yeah, oh yeah, timeless. It's timeless. Uh,
Yeah.
and and just who you were as enrollment. You weren't afraid to talk to anybody about this work and about your commitments, and you were selling them cookies and cupcakes and whatever it took get you to make things happen. So I just want to really acknowledge the beautiful person that you've blossomed into, and you've got branches now. It's not just the one branch, but you've got multiple branches that you've born into the world. So thank you.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Yeah, you and Joyce were you always had our backs and you were always there to help push us and make sure that we were well taken care of and safe and able to just create. And so thank you for always being a stand and I love you and I really, really appreciate you for continuing to stand for young people and continuing to stand for people of color in transformational work. It shows up
You're welcome.
pretty awesome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bonita. Thank you so
You're
much for
great.
being with us tonight. It was great.
Yes,
Great.
very good. Let
Yes.
me go
Jackie
put these
Grace.
babies to bed.
Okay. Thank you for staying with us. Jackie Grace, you want to let the folks know how they can get a hold of us and any of that good stuff?
Sure, you can find out more about the International Black Summit by going to our website, blacksummit.org, blacksummit.org, or you can check us out on our YouTube channel, International Black Summit Inc. on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and other places. I think we have a beginning TikTok and a and I don't know. I think we're kind of on Twitter and the Instagram. Look around for us. You'll be able to find us. International Black Summit Inc. And you'll find us, blacksummit.org. And we hope that you'll join us again.
And we
to
have a
watch the
prerequisite
International
coming up.
Black Summit podcast.
Yeah, we have a prerequisite coming up.
We do. June 22nd, 2024. We have a one-day prerequisite course. If you're interested, go to the website. And also you can also register for the annual summit event, the first full weekend of August every year. And this year that's August 1st to August 4th. And you can register for that and join us there. So
Great.
thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
And thank you again, Bonita.
Love you guys. Have a good one.
All right.